Okay, so let's start again, going back to my new router that I've just rebooted. So it's a entirely new router, but I still have my config on the computer, no problem. So let's start with this one. So first thing will be config terminal. So change the host name. We used III router. This is the first thing. The second thing will be IP domain name and make it III domain. This will be used, copied and pasted on all your devices. It's a domain for all your devices together. IP domain name III domain. Let's create a key. I believe it will be IP. What's the command? IP generating, IP routing, IP broadcast. No, let me check it just in 1 minute. Well, it was inside the SSH IP. Let's enable SSH first. So IP SSH, which version? Before enabling the version, we should enable the key generating. Okay, so crypto, maybe it was crypto. Yes, crypto key generate RSA, and just before hitting enter, I can make the specify the number of the bytes used for the RSA. What's this command actually? This is some type of security commands that we will talk about in chapter 5, the security chapter. This is a command for creating a crypto key that will encrypt the data between the router and the laptop once you use SSH. So this is how you encrypt the data transform between you and the other one. So whenever someone sniffs on your traffic, on your links, it will not be able to read the data in clear text formation. So crypto key generate RSA is very important to create this key. I can either now press enter, that will create it by default, as I believe it will be how many bytes in the modules, 512 or 768. The difference between 512 is that it's the number of bytes required for SSH version 1, which is the old one, we don't want to use it, and 768 is the number of bytes needed to enable SSH version 2. So I will make it 768. Watch out, just because 512 are available here just before the enter command, this means that this is the default value that will be applied if I pressed enter. So no, I will change the value and hit enter, generating 768-bit RSA keys will be non-exportable. Okay, yes, okay, and it automatically okay. That's it. So until now I have changed the host name, I have changed the IP domain name, or actually I have modified the IP domain name, and also the key crypto key generator RSA was made 768 to be able to enable or to make use of the IPSSH version 2. So after that IPSSH, I will, yes, version 1.99, which is the enhanced version of version 1 is enabled by default, but just wait, I will enable version 2, hit enter. So now version 2 is enabled for me. 4 steps so far. After that, let's also make the step number 5, which is line V2I. How many line V2Is do I need to enable? Start from first one, which is 0 up to 15. If I just hit enter now, what will happen is that I will configure what should happen to all the 16 V2I lines. And what should happen inside them is that IP SSH, I believe, or only SSH. Let's check the options. Transport, yes, I believe it was transport. Input SSH, enter. What I did right now using these two commands is that for all the VTY lines from 0 to 15, the 16 VTY lines, the transport for the input to be able to access those lines from externally from the outside, use only SSH. Okay, and SSH was few moments ago enabled for version 2. To enable version 2, I need to specify key, RSA key, with the number of bytes of 768. I believe I will summarize it by the end of this video. Okay, and we also did the domain name after before the key, and change the username, the host name of the device. One last thing is left for me to do, is that to create a username and assign a password to that username, and whomever have this username and password will be able to access to this device remotely. So username, let's make it just triple I, and the password, one big 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 mistake is that don't directly type password and hit or assign this password, because there is something very important called privilege on the devices. Just because it's from 0 to 15, this doesn't mean that it's related to line VTYs. Privilege actually is the authorization level of the user that will access the device, because maybe you have a beginner engineer in your network and you don't want him to change config in your network or in your devices, but at the same time you do want him to access your network and apply some show commands only, just to view the statistics and the config of the network and know what's going on or what protocols are used. But that's it. That's only the authorization that you will allow this new engineer or this beginner engineer to use. But for professionals, they are granted a full privilege, that they are full authorization full authorization capabilities that makes them do show and configure and change and also reboot the device whatever they want for all the devices of the network. So there is something called privilege, and starts from 0, which can do nothing at all, up to 5, which can do only some show commands, up to 10, which can do some half of the config commands, and 15 is the maximum privilege level, that whatever type of users that carrying the 15 privilege level, he can do everything and whatever he wants or desire on your network. So let's make it 15, so we can do whatever we want. After that, we will assign the password. Why did I say please be careful not to type password after the username? Because just in case you missed this and you missed that one and you didn't type the privilege or assign specific privilege, by default this username will be assigned as privilege 0, so he will not be able to do anything at all. So privilege 15 and password, make it simple password, just like pass triple I, or the pass. Stop using triple I in everything. The pass, that's it. So please, one quick thing to talk about is that, sir, first thing you have done is the host name. After the host name, it was the IP domain name. After the IP domain name, you made crypto key generator using RSA of 768, because it's for SSH version 2, and we enabled SSH version 2 using the command ipssh version 2, accessed the line VTY, all of them from 0 to 15, the 16 line, and inside it we made transport input please SSH. I think I have some problems with the CPU right now. Okay, so those are 5 steps. The final one was to make a real username and password for this device. Okay, so one last thing that's very important to do is the router has no reachability at all, so we must unshut this interface and also assign the IP address for this interface to make it reachable. So in the config, let's go for interface fast ethernet 00, just like the old days, IP address of 1.1, and we'll make it /24, and the final thing to do will be no shutdown end. That's it. That's all we need to do for this one. Clear the screen, please. Okay, a bit of fast forward will be nice from you. So let's check the reachability for the router. Sir, please. Yes, I am able. So now the router is away from me. Let's try to access the router. The command will be SSH space dash L. This is not number one, this is L. The username of the device, which is I, all in capital letters. The IP address of the device will be 192.168.1.1. Actually, this is the IP address that is reachable of the router. You can use whatever IP address configured inside the router, but this one is reachable. And hit enter. Yes, please. The password was the pass. It's hidden. It's not typing. No, it's typing, but just in case someone was watching around you, he will not be able to know how many characters the password is. So hit enter, enter again. Now I'm in the router. Okay, so let's try enable no password set, because we can do something very important inside the router, and that will be, let's just hit exit again. Yes, inside my router I can do something which is called enable secret or enable password, and that will be make it only enable secret, unencrypted or encrypted low, make it number 5, and the password will be enable pass, enable pass. Hit end. That's it. Just let's try our luck. This password will be a second level of authentication and security, that just in case the password, the first one, was stolen and someone did access your device accidentally, there is another password that will stop this user from granting the privilege level user, from the user mode to the privilege mode. Okay, so just one final thing to do. The same command again, the same password again. Now I'm in the router, enable. It's asking for the password of enable. It was enable pass, right? Enable pass, please. Why? Okay, so let's try enable secret, and the password will be en pass and right to save my config. And from this one I will try to access my router again. So enable will be en pass. Good. Now I'm in the privilege mode, and I can be after that in the config mode, and also exit to go back to my computer. So this is how to grant the access for your device remotely. What we did is that, let's make it as a form of notes. Was this mark, as it states that whatever commands after that will be neglected. So the first thing was to make host name the name that you want, and after that I made IP domain name and gave it a certain domain name. After IP domain name I made crypto key generate RSA. It's either you leave it to 512 for SSH version 1, or make it 768 for SSH version 2. After that, we enabled the IP SSH version 2 to enable SSH version 2 instead of the default one, which is SSH version 1. Step number 5 was for line V2I, specify the numbers of lines you want, but for security, all of them. So from 0 up to 15, all of them. Inside this command, inside this hierarchy of the line V2I, you will type transport input SSH for SSH only to be granted. One last step to, or sorry, two last steps just to create a username, give it a privilege of 15 if you'd like, and the password of whatever you want to do. And the final real thing is to enable password, create a password for the enable command, which is the privilege mode, to move from the user mode to the privilege mode, and enable password and make it whatever password you require, and that's it. So these will be 7 steps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oh god, I'm bad at counting, I believe. So these are 8 steps. All of them must be configured on the router. Yes, I know they are a lot, they are annoying, but they will be copied and pasted almost on all your devices in the network. Okay, so this will be some type of initial config that you copy to a note and save it, and whenever you want to configure a new device, you'll just take it as a copy, paste it in device, and that's it. It's called some initial config. It's common or shared config between all the devices in the network. So this is how to obtain access to your device using SSH. I believe you can also do it using switches. Let's try our luck. Let's try to access a switch remotely, but to access switch you need using SSH. Switches do not use IP addresses, but we can create something virtual that's called interface VLAN, and this interface VLAN we can make it we can assign IP address to this interface VLAN. So for this one to be accessed remotely, let's try to do the same config. First one will be host name and triple I, switch, IP, domain name, make it the same as that one. This is the second step. The third step was crypto key generate RSA of 768 for version 2. I'm sorry, it entered, now specify 768 for version 2. IP SSH, make it version 2 because version 1 is the one enabled by default, so I've just enabled version 2 instead. Line V2I, all of them from 0 to 15. Transport input SSH only, don't enable another thing. Exit. Create username, make it also the same username, also triple I capital, and privilege 15. I believe you got with that, you got used with it. And the password, make it what was the password there? I believe it was the pass. Yes, this way, with no pass, with no spaces, the pass. And for enable password, it was en pass, just like the other devices. It's okay that all of your devices have the same username and password, no problem at all. Okay, so what have we done until now? 1 was the host name, 2 was the domain, 3 was the key, 4 was enabling SSH, 5 was transport SSH online V2I, 6 was this username, 7 was the other, and did I forget something? I believe not. Why was there 8 steps in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yes, there are 7 steps, just like I said, not 8 steps, because this one is a hierarchy. Okay, and this one in here also, so we are good. But one last thing that you must know, in this device, we SSH the IP address of this interface. Here, what should we do? We should do two things. The first one is to do something. I don't want to create VLANs to avoid your confusing you, but exit show VLAN brief. I have VLAN number 1, which is the default, and all interfaces are lying under VLAN 1, so I will use VLAN number 1 and create interface VLAN 1 and give an IP address of on the same network 192.168.1.2 and make it this way. Okay, and no shutdown for this one, just like a physical interface in the router, which is fast ethernet 00, I gave it IP address, subnet mask, no shutdown. Here the same thing, exit, and I believe I should specify an IP default gateway for the switch and make it the router. So let's make it 1.1. That should be more than enough for this switch. The same 7 steps of the router of SSH was again copied and pasted, all of them the same for the switch. This interface had IP address, subnet mask, no shutdown. This virtual interface VLAN 1 had IP address, subnet mask, no shutdown. Just standing there, you will find the last interface is VLAN 1. It's up. The VLAN 1, the VLAN is 1 equals 1, and the IP address, subnet mask are specified. And also I just specified a default gateway for the switch to go back to the router, and after that to speak with me. So let's try our luck. Wish me luck for me first and hope that it will be for you. SSH-L, the name is I, the username, and the device has the IP address of .1.2. Yes, password will be, we did enable password there, and the real password was the pass, yes man, I'm in the switch enable, and it will be en pass. How do you like me now? Whatever command I would like. So now from my PC I have access to this one switch and router. Just to verify the version of the SSH, it will be a good command, show SSH. Yes, you are using, there are two connections. Why there are two connections? One in and one out. This is how to verify your SSH. On the router you can also use, also issue the command show SSH. No, SSH is running because no one is accessed. Yes, correct. Okay, is there any other command just to check the config? I believe it will be show IP SSH. Yes, good. SSH is enabled. It's version 2.0. This is what I wanted to show you. Show IP SSH, not show SSH. Show SSH is for the active sessions. So yes, I believe all of that was a bit of messy because I haven't configured SSH for a long time, but you can know that you need to configure 7 steps on the router or the switch for SSH. After these 7 steps, you need to configure, after the 7 steps, you need to configure an IP address on a live interface, IP address, subnet mask, and no shutdown for an interface, router or a switch. But just in case it was a switch, extra IP default gateway command should be issued, just like I showed you, and that's it. From your device, from your laptop, PC, in the office, you can access whatever device you would like in the network. And yes, you can access multiple network devices on the same computer at the same time. You can issue multiple command line interface in your Microsoft Windows device or Linux or whatever, using multiple terminal windows. Each one of them is an SSH to another device. In the real life, in the Microsoft Windows, you will need secure CRT or PuTTY. For Linux, it will be direct. For Macintosh OS, it will be direct. I've talked about what you need, what are the requirements for SSH in chapter 1 in the subject of IP parameters. So this is the end of chapter 1 of the SSH, the secure shell. Only one final subject to discuss in the upcoming video. I hope all of this was good. It has been confusing for you. And if yes, it was, just inform me. I will do my best to record the video or support you with whatever something you think that you are confused with. And in case it was not, just move to the other video, please, the FTP video that I will talk about in the upcoming video. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and see you in the upcoming video. Goodbye.